It's Monday, December 7th, and it's time for your Barbados Today morning news update. LIAT's court-appointed administrator, Cleveland Seaforth, has described as surprising Barbados' position that the airline needs a new flight arrangements to operate into the country. Late last month, the regional carrier announced the resumption of flights to 7 destinations across its network, including Barbados and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. However, on Saturday, LIAT said it had been forced to temporarily suspend services to those 2 countries and await approval from relevant authorities.
In the case of Barbados, it came as a surprise to us very late on Friday. We had made arrangements to fly into Barbados, and we actually flew there on Monday with a scheduled service. About 2 to 3 weeks before that, we flew in there. And after the borders were closed at the end of March, we actually flew nurses from Cuba to Barbados. And so we are a bit taken aback by the decision. We have a valid permit to fly into Barbados until July 2024. Okay? And the authority said to us late on Friday that we would have to make new arrangements before we can fly into Barbados. We don't necessarily agree with them because we have the permit which allows us to fly in until July 2024. So we dispatched a letter to them late on Friday asking them to reconsider the decision.
Seaforth maintained the airline had been operating to Barbados on valid flight approvals which have not expired. He spoke with ABS News on the situation and said he was hoping to hold talks with Barbadian authorities today on the matter.
As I understand it, they are looking at the fact that this is a new entity, which it's not. It's the same LIAT 1974. And so they're saying you would have to apply for a permit all over again. But we are of the firm opinion that we have a permit until July 2024, and that is the same. It is the same entity, as it was at the end of March. We had a flight there scheduled for today, and my understanding is that when you take into consideration the amount of traveling going on during COVID, the loads today from St. Kitts to Barbados and Barbados back to St. Kitts were in fact good. So that is a bit of the revenue we would have lost. And it is true that we are presently making arrangements to fly in.
Keep your guard up. Health and Wellness Minister Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic has issued the call to Barbadians as they engage in the hustle and bustle of the Christmas season. Bostic said even though there was no community spread on the island, Barbadians could not afford to be complacent, and he has appealed to persons to continue adhering to COVID-19 protocols.
If you do not continue to keep your shields up, your guard up, you do not know if that person is going to be the person sitting next to you in the ZR van, in the bus, at the bread shop. So that it is up to each and every one of us to continue to observe the protocols, because if we keep ourselves safe, which is our personal and individual responsibility, then no matter what comes our way, we have a very, very good chance of remaining safe once we do the right things. As the Christmas season approaches, I urge everyone not to let down the guard. Not to let down the guard. There are too many examples of what will happen across this region and the globe if we let down our guards.
Consumers are paying less for some petroleum products. Effective midnight, Sunday, December 6th, the retail prices of gasoline and diesel decreased, while the price of kerosene increased. The price of gasoline dropped by 5 cents from $3.31 to $3.26 per liter. Diesel decreased by 1 cent and now retails at $2.52 per liter. The price of kerosene increased by 1 cent and is now sold at 90 cents per liter. These changes are in keeping with the retail prices of petroleum products on the international market.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from the region now, Bahamian Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis yesterday announced an ease in COVID-19 restrictions for New Providence and Grand Bahama ahead of the Christmas season. We get the details in this Eyewitness News report.
First up, the quarantine on travel throughout the Family Islands has been lifted and replaced with an inter-island health travel visa.
The quarantine presently in place for travelers leaving New Providence to go to the Family Islands will be lifted. Travelers from New Providence and Grand Bahama to the rest of the Bahamas will be required to obtain the travel visa, to complete the daily health questionnaire, and take the rapid antigen test on the 5th day after their travel. Additionally, the requirement for people traveling from Exuma to the remainder of the Bahamas to take a PCR test will be removed.
Gym operators who have been shut down for majority of the pandemic can breathe a sigh of relief as of Monday morning as well.
Effective tomorrow, Monday, the 7th of December, all gyms may reopen with strict adherence to the health protocols.
Retail operators getting the green light to operate on Sundays this month. Retail businesses will be allowed to conduct business on December 13th and 20th between 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. As for the religious sector, Exuma and Eleuthera may also resume normal church services in accordance with the Ministry of Health guidelines as of tomorrow. As far as holiday services are concerned,
for the Christmas season, church and religious services may be held during curfew hours, that is, after 10 p.m., to accommodate midnight mass, watch night services, and other liturgical services. This applies to New Providence, Abaco, Grand Bahama, Exuma, and Eleuthera.
And finally, a report by the National Academies of Sciences in the United States believes that a mystery illness suffered by U.S. diplomats in Cuba between 2016 and 2017 was most likely caused by directed microwave radiation. We get more in this report from Reuters TV.
A long-awaited U.S. government report released over the weekend said the most plausible explanation for the mysterious symptoms experienced by American diplomats at U.S. embassies in Havana, Cuba, and other countries were, quote, consistent with a directed radio frequency energy attack. That's according to a government-commissioned report by the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine released on Saturday, which marks the first time Washington has officially offered an explanation for what's come to be known as Havana syndrome, though it's still inconclusive.
We continue to try and determine precisely the causation of this.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said in October that significant U.S. government resources had been dedicated to solving the mystery, in which more than 40 U.S. government employees were affected between 2016 and into 2018. Diplomats in some postings in Cuba and other countries were plagued with nausea, headaches, dizziness, and other unexplained symptoms. Havana syndrome has long been the subject of intense speculation, given the nature of the symptoms, the location of the postings, and the silence of the U.S. government. The State Department said in June 2018 that it brought home diplomats who were stationed in China over concern they were suffering similar symptoms. Saturday's report did not point a finger at who might be behind the mysterious symptoms, but it cited, quote, significant research in Russia on pulsed radio frequency technology and that military personnel exposed to microwave radiation in Eurasian communist countries were said to have experienced the same symptoms suffered by the U.S. diplomats.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.